Kaboom! Good evening, East Tennessee. Chief Meteorologist David Aldridge here on a Saturday night. What's going on? Mother Nature's thinking, what kind of trouble can we get into? Well, we have a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Knox County till midnight. Last I checked, it's 11:36. What's going on? Well, I don't know. We'll keep it casual because, well, we've got 498 strikes just on this image alone, and it's gotten pretty loud and noisy from Farragut, Hardin Valley, Oak Ridge, and Clinton. And downtown Knoxville is about to get rocked by some downpours, some thunderstorms. But I do have some good news to hopefully set your mind at ease because the severe part of this is showing signs of weakening. I'll give you an example. We had a tornado watch for Cumberland and say Fentress County. So here's Fentress. Let me turn the lightning off for a second. Here's Fentress. Here's Cumberland County. This was supposed to go until 11 o'clock Central, but they pulled it an hour early. So for what that's worth, the tornado threat seems to have diminished a bit, certainly in these areas. Now, there's still technically a severe thunderstorm warning for Knox County till midnight, but the tornado watch, which means conditions are favorable, may linger till 3 a.m. Would it be possible that they could expire this before 3 o'clock in the morning? Yes, it is possible. And if you're just joining me, I am live on both Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like to watch me on the big screen, some people find it easier to watch me on YouTube, maybe with their Fire Stick or whatever device contraption that you use to put things on the bigger screen. You could do that. So the maps can look bigger for you. But I'm going to stay on here for just long enough to set your mind at ease. We have some thunderstorms. We've been through worse. We'll probably be through worse down the road, but this night will include some beneficial rain and some wind damage, clearly with some of the stronger winds. If we put a little track on this particular track wants to put these towns in the crosshairs. That would include Oak Ridge Estates right now, King Arthur Court, I love that name, 1141, Carpenter Ridge, 1142, and you can see some of those other towns there listed on the right side of the screen there. Let me see if you have any comments that you'd like to share. Let me see here. I got Darcy Source. She says, woo, what a ride. We're not going out so far on South Roane County. Heavy rains and lightning show to rival July 4th. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Very interesting. Thank you for that note, Darcy. She's on here. And if you're on here, I'd love to hear what you've got going on because these storms will be transient. They're not going to last forever. Now, this is interesting because this has winds moving. See if you can point here. They're like about 48 miles per hour, moving to the northeast. The Weather Service had this thing moving at 30. So there's a big difference between 30 and 48. Even if you take a blend of the two, you're probably close to maybe closer to 40. But at the same point, this is a storm that's producing quite a bit of downpours at this moment. It's affecting Powell. Let's go town to town. Not quite into downtown Knoxville yet. But if you have a comment, let me know. Fire them away. I do see Hallie Gibson. She says, thanks for keeping us updated. Lightning has been crazy in Kingston. And in the spirit of true transparency, I've been out downtown. I have been to my daughter's dance recital tonight, so I don't have a tie on. You wouldn't recognize me. Oh, that's right. He wears that tie without a jacket. I know. But I just thought the maps are more important than me right now. So I'll just say Amherst, Bull Run, getting the brunt of the heavy rain, possibly some hail. We can throw that hail opportunity in there. There's the hail. Potentially, maybe a half inch. Yeah, there's a half-inch hail there. Maybe bigger. Maybe an inch near Bull Run. That's what the hail threat looks like right now. This, again, is associated with a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until midnight. So this would include Fountain City, but not Mascot. It would include, Beechwood, Rocky Hill, but not Cedar Grove, because you're not in the yellow box. It includes Hardin Valley, Solway, Carnes, to be fair. Stephen Snyder says, be safe, East Tennessee. Thank you, Stephen. Lee says it's hitting Carnes, and I hate storms, says Angel White. I'm with you, Angel. How many of you, from a show of hands, have a dog or a cat that's under the bed? Oh, no. Yeah, I know. My dog, DuPoint. You named your dog DuPoint? Yeah, I did. We just call her Dewey. We call her Honeydew, Scooby-Doo. Yeah, nobody likes to call her DuPoint in the household but me, but that's just me. But maybe your dog, whatever your dog's name is under the bed. And if it is, or he or she'll get through it. It'll get better and probably before midnight as this is beginning to work its way to the east. Let me give you just the bird's eye view. I mentioned that we have one severe thunderstorm warning. That covers Knox County. It includes parts of Anderson County, and it includes parts of Loudoun County. and maybe just parts of northern Blunt. I'd say northern Blunt maybe in there, right? Yep, northern Blunt's in there. So this is what we call a polygon. This irregularly shaped yellow box covers downtown Knoxville, and downtown Knoxville is probably getting some of the lightning that's flashing in the distance. It's headed toward you. And you can see with over 1,200 lightning strikes at the moment, there's something to be reason to be like a dog's under the bed or the cat's under the bed. Angel White says, how long to post last in 10 Mile? I would say if this thing is started around 11, it would probably take a full hour to get out, at least the worst of it. But there's something else that's going to happen over time, Angel, because you bring up a good point. Something's going to likely happen. So look at the national radar. I'm going to zoom back out. There's all this energy down here. You say, wait a minute. Hold the phone. You mean once it tries to move away, it's not going to be done? No, because we have all of this. What's this? This over here. This is Sunday's weather. It may take until 3 p.m. tomorrow before this stuff gets out of here. You're like, you're making my mind blow. No, it's true. It's true. Some of the energy that's in Louisiana, as this front begins to slow down, has to work its way toward Knoxville. So this is why we're likely to get anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches of rain. And that's on top of what we had this morning. This morning we picked up 0.70. This lightning's busy, isn't it? A lot makes the map much busier. I got another note from Herb. He says Daryl Chase. He's tagging his buddy Daryl. Hi, Daryl, and hi, Herb. Mitzi says Morristown. What about Morristown? Morristown's got a little bit of shower there. In fact, you can see we go back to the live radar, as live as it can be. Might be about 30 seconds to a minute or two old, but you can see all radar has age to it. This whole idea that it's live, like it's instantaneous, there's some processing time. So that's why I like to do this. Because if it takes a few seconds, I know it'll be in POW at 11:44. That's 2 minutes from now. It'll likely be around Glenwood at 11:46. That's 3 minutes from now. And it should be around Whispering Hills, although it won't come in with a whisper. It's likely to come in with a bang at 11:47. So just take note. These are some of the times, and that's why it's helpful to see that time frame on the screen. Everybody's going to get some heavy rains in the next period of time, right through tonight through tomorrow. And we had our first round of it this morning. But we did not get as warm as I had hoped. I had anticipated low to mid-60s today. I believe our high was 57. So it could have been worse. The buoyancy may have been inhibited a bit, and so we may not have had as bad a severe situation. I mean, granted, we're under severe thunderstorm warning. But for this to continue on to the east, we'll have to wait and see. I did mention at the top of this Facebook and YouTube Live that Jamestown, Fentress, Crossville, Cumberland County, both under tornado watches, but those counties were allowed to expire an hour early. So interesting to see. Smokies are under wind advisories until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Let me grab my Captain Accurate weather app and get some of the details. For those of you that don't have the app, I encourage you to do so. It doesn't cost you a thing. What you get is Pete Michaels traffic, which is a bonus, right? You get weather and traffic perfect together. By the way, the wind advisory runs till 9. They're expecting winds 20 to 30, south winds 20 to 30, gusting 45 to 55. Now, the 55 gusts will likely be on the hilltops, like the tops of the mountains, like Cove Mountain, possibly Chimney Tops, of course, Mount LeConte. Those would find 55-mile-an-hour winds or higher. But if we look at the time frame, as I put the wind advisory off the map here, let's put this latest track over here. Severe thunderstorm warning. There it is. So we've got Powell at about 11:46, Ponderosa Hills 11:47, Cherrybrook about 11:47, and you can see the times keep changing. But Mayview Heights 11:48. So those are some of the times that these storms are going to be reaching their fever pitch. As I mentioned, we have a box that's now been changed. They've actually shaved some of it off to the west. It no longer includes, I don't think it includes, does it include Hardin Valley anymore? Well, Hardin Valley's, the west side of Hardin Valley's in it. And the east side, west side is out of it, east side's in of it. I don't know if it makes sense. Does that make sense? Here's Hardin Valley. So it's like the verbiage, Hardin is in and Valley's out, or vice versa. Hardin's out, Valley's in. It's just, that's the way they've drawn it because the worst of the storm is in purple. Some of the heavier rains and echoes that we're seeing that's producing some hail is moving in this direction. And if I were to read, which I'm going to do here, and you can see some of the times there. Let me get back on this little track. This one particularly is moving roughly 46 miles per hour, and it has severe hail, about a 50% chance. Now, it has a BTI score of 2.7 on a scale of 10. So that's really low. It's probably not tornadic, although we like to watch these types of environments. They could change. We know with each volume scan, it could get stronger or it could get weaker, kind of like a wave at the beach. You know how like a wave can start slow and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and it crashes on you? It could be like that, or it could be actually diminishing. And in this case, BTI, which is the Barron Tornado Index, on a scale of 0 to 10, on this is showing 2.7. So that isn't too concerning for me right now. If it were a 5, 6, or 7, I'd be a little more concerned. If it were a 9 or 10, or an 8 or 9 or 10, I'd say get in the basement. But we're not to that point. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. According to the Weather Service, they've got 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail associated with this particular storm. And if you have a comment, Amanda says you're the only one covering this. Is that right? Oh, well, Amanda, I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm not wearing my necktie tonight. I just came from my daughter's dance recital at the Civic Auditorium, downtown Knoxville. So had a good time. And so it's a Saturday night, so I'm casual. So I'll just figure the map's more important than the way I look right now. You're the only one covering this, she says. My fiance is in Sweetwater, says Rebecca Dean Standridge. I see that note. And Karen Smith says, I hear thunder in Jefferson City. Oh, it's coming to Jefferson City, no doubt. All right, so we have the severe thunderstorm warning that covers Knoxville. And let me go back to the copy here. And I'm just reading. I mean, I'm literally reading from the Captain Accurate Weather app that comes, the text, mind you, is issued by the Weather Service in Morristown, and they do a great job. They're mentioning 60-mile-an-hour winds, gusts, and penny-sized hail. Expect damage to roofs, expect damage to siding, and anticipate damage to trees. You mean there could be power outages? Yes, there could. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that next. But these locations impacted in this severe thunderstorm warning would include Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Alcoa, Farragut, Louisville, Rockford, Halls, Lake Forest, Bearden, and Powell. This also includes Interstate I-40, Interstate 40 in Tennessee between mile marker 374 and 392, and Interstate 75 in Tennessee between mile markers 108 and 115. How's that for specificity? That's being really specific. And they made a note here, remain alert for a possible tornado. Can't rule it out. But I'm seeing a BTI that just went from 2.7 to 2.6. So it's actually showing signs that it's diminishing. Doesn't mean you couldn't get a tornado, but I'm looking at this box right here, and at the bottom has the Barron Tornado Index of 2.6. It was 2.7. So each volume scan will get a new update roughly, so that gives us some idea. Now, I do see they expanded the playing field. We have this box that has been a severe thunderstorm till midnight. Now we've included Jefferson City. Who was on here from Jefferson City? I think somebody was on here. Somebody was talking about that. In fact, I could see here, let's see here. Where was, oh, I got to go back to more comments. I got to look at all the comments because they're all coming in so fast. That's what I think it is. Jordan says, how is Claiborne County and Rogersville looking? And Samantha Arbowitz says, what part of Knoxville? Well, basically all of Knoxville. Downtown is getting hammered right now with heavy rain and thunder. Now, if I put the lightning on here, then you start to see, yeah, I could see why you'd say that because there's over 460 strikes. But the newly issued severe thunderstorm warning covers Jefferson County. So let's go in to read some of that information because I think that would be important. Maybe it's the same exact information I just read for Knoxville. Maybe it's different. So the Weather Service may have a different view of things, and I like to give that, give that some due here. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning that was newly issued for Jefferson County also includes north central Sevier County. It includes southeastern Union County, southwestern Granger County, west central Hamlin County till 12:30. Oh man, I mean another half hour? Yes, another half hour. This will go till 12:30. And it also includes, I might add, it also includes northeastern Knox. Northeastern Knox, because where there's an overlap, as I take off the lightning, there's an overlap right in here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. I'm circling as best I can. The overlap is northeastern Knox. I did a very sloppy job there. But you can see if we go town to town, the main focal point right now is this area, right in here. This area includes some very heavy returns. In fact, if we go back to, let's take a look at some velocity things. I think we could check out, I think that'd be interesting to see. What kind of winds? We have 50-mile-an-hour winds between Knoxville and Ramsey. Fountain City, what do we look at? 34. Winds around Powell, 32. So you could imagine downtown Knoxville about 36. There's some strong winds on this little band of storms. There's 53 near Caswell. So if you get a 53, 50-mile-an-hour wind, it could take out your power. Now, I heard you say just a moment ago, Aldrich, that you're going to show us the power outages. So where are the power outages? I can get to that. I can do that for you. Let's do that right now because I think that would be interesting to see. You know, if there are any power outages, it would show up here. And it looks like we have a few. If I take off the alerts, because that muddied up the map too. Oh my! Look at the power outages out west near Nashville. They've got quite a few. Looks like they have 12,000 without power in Davidson County around Nashville, and maybe about 100 just north of Soddy Daisy here, Huntsville area about 1,000. So this may continue to grow when you've got 50-mile-an-hour wind speeds. But they had much. Let's face it, the storms that were in Middle Tennessee today were far worse. Like Clarksville. There were tornadoes out there. So this is the issue, 14,000 around Clarksville without power at this time. So is it possible that your power could go out? Sure, it could. And does your phone have enough charge on it? Maybe you should plug it in now if you're in Jefferson City before these winds get to you. That might be a good idea. If you're in Maryville, you might be scratching your head going, where's all this, what's all the fuss about? Because Maryville is not under a warning, not yet. And even though Loudon is getting pounded, so is Lenoir City, Maryville and Greenback are just waiting for the shoe to drop. When's it going to get here? Well, let's do one even better. Let's take a look at the future radar, because it's nice to know where it is now, because that's all I'm doing. But let's go back and take a look 1 hour in the future. Where's this rain going to go? Is it going to go into Maryville? Let's see. This is the future radar. Yeah, it gets to Maryville about 12:50, 12:52. And it does make it to Greenback by about the same time. So Greenback and Maryville may not be getting all the thunder and nasty storms right now, but it's headed your way. So that's the future radar. One of the benefits of having the Captain Accurate weather app now gives you the benefit of one push of the button, the play button. It gives you past, present, and future. It'll give you the radar 2 hours ago. It'll give you the radar currently happening now. And it'll give you the radar 2 hours into the future based on model data. I love that. You don't have to keep clicking around. You just push it one time and you get all that information. Because oftentimes you want to know where, it's great to know it's raining hard in Loudon, but if you're in Greenback, you're probably scratching your head going, when's it going to get here? Very easy. Just push the play button on the Captain Accurate weather app and you will have a pretty good estimated time of when it'll be at your house. All you have to do is pinch and zoom in. By the way, as I mentioned, if you're just joining me, severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County till midnight. The one that includes Knox County, at least most of Knox, exception of areas, it drops off west of Hardin Valley, but it runs till midnight. So we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, one until midnight, one until 12:30, and it's really focused right now on this area right in here, this little line that's pushing through. And the last I read from the Weather Service, they believe this thing's moving at 50 miles per hour. That makes sense because we estimated we had 50-mile-an-hour speeds. Let's do our own track. If we were to do a little track like so, go out to 50 miles per hour, so that would take us way off, almost to the edge of the screen. And we're going to move this over here. Now it's a little easier to read. Let's talk about 3 points. Antioch, right now. About Skagston, about 11:56. Should be in Mascot, 11:57. And that would be 3 minutes from now. So Mascot, there is your warning. Skies are going to get really dark and loud in Corrigan about 11:57 based on the speed of 50 miles an hour that it's moving. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what's going on. Am I worried about tornadoes? No, not exactly. Could a tornado spin up? Of course, it could. But the tornado watches, the only one that we have right now, is down in Monroe County till 3 in the morning. And I have a suspicion that that'll expire way before 3 a.m. Well, look at Fentress and Cumberland County. Excuse me, Cumberland and Fentress County both expired an hour early. Maybe Monroe County expires an hour early. Maybe 2 hours early. If the storms in Sweetwater and Athens don't get any stronger, but they get smaller, just like a wave at the ocean, it can build or it can be weakening or strengthening. And a lot. This is you can think of these storms as an ocean wave. That wave is coming into town, and those towns that on the right are the approximated times they'll be in these areas, like Midway around midnight. We're looking at Zacharytown about midnight. Strawberry Plains, 12:01. So these are the towns and times on the screen. Karen Loveday says, thank you. Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate you watching. It's super loud in Carnes, says Candace Norman. Candace, I am so happy that you made me a note there. Thank you. And I'm very, very excited that I get to hang out with your husband, Michael, because he makes so many great videos. You know who I'm talking about. Michael's one of my premium members. But if you've seen any of my promos lately, Michael has done all that handiwork, especially the one I did recently at Grace Christian Academy and Hardin Valley Middle from school visits with our buddies at Marcos. By the way, Steve Crabtree says, thankful you're live, TV stations or not. Well, you know what? That's a missed opportunity, right? It's a Saturday night. People are like, oh, it's my time. Well, hey, when thunderstorms disrupt your lifestyle, I want to be on the air. That's what I am saying. Anyway, Elijah Ortega. Oh, it's good to see you. He's saying, how are you? And Lily Miller was getting some hard lightning and very loud thunder at Oak Ridge. You know what? I think this is even worse. And I say in quotation marks, because we've been under a drought for so long. If you're new to our area, we were running about 4 inches below normal for the year. And we picked up about 2.5 last weekend, 2.5 inches. We picked up 0.7 inches this morning, and we're whittling away. By the time we get to 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, much of this will be gone. There will be coming more waves, just like one wave after the other at the beach. But the waves of energy that come in from the south and west, and if you're just joining me, I showed that a moment ago. I think it bears repeating. There's a lot of energy. People think, oh, it's just coming in from Crossville, and then it dries out. Well, wait a minute. You're missing all this information down here that still has to come in. So this stuff down here in Mississippi and Alabama still has to work its way up here. And then you throw in the lightning, and it's a show, right? Lightning show scares the dogs and cats. It's just what it is. But we're going to pick up some beneficial rain. And I was telling my premium members just a couple of days ago, I said, this will likely be, maybe it was this morning, I said, drought-busting rain. We didn't get into a drought overnight, and we were probably not going to get out of the drought overnight, but we had a significant rainfall last weekend, as you know, and we're getting some, we got some this morning, we're getting some now. And we're going to get some all during the morning on Sunday morning. And it's almost Sunday because we're about 2 minutes away from the midnight hour. Let me get back to what have we covered? We've covered power outages. We've covered the two specific severe thunderstorm warnings in detail. Just to recount, lightning, now over 1,100 strikes just on this image alone. And the other thing we haven't talked about much is these new little green boxes. These are the flood advisories. These kind of like are the precursors to flash flood warnings. Sometimes, and I don't want to speak for the Weather Service, I can't speak for the Weather Service, but usually this would be issued first, you know, like an aerial flood advisory. It hasn't reached quite the threshold for a flash flood warning. But the more rain you get, it could be elevated to a flash flood warning. But that would include areas, in the green areas would include Loudoun, Lenoir City, Oak Ridge, Hardin Valley, and Carnes, and Farragut. And there's another another flood advisory for Ray County, also back toward Decatur and Meigs and all the rest. So these are the areas that need to be monitored throughout the night, because if the more rain you get from the south and west, it could be elevated. And we know that flooding can be very scary, especially at night when you least suspect it. And that's why I said, if you're not in the storms yet, you're in Sevierville, you're in Maryville, please plug in your phone, because if you lose power, you're going to be thankful that you had a charged phone. Maybe you're in Pigeon Forge, Newport, Dandridge. You're like, oh, I'll wait till the storms are here and then I'll plug in my phone. No, that's a bad idea. Just play it safe. Take the advice of your weatherman and plug in the phone. Because you might be like me, my phone's down to 22%. Oh no, I know. So I got to plug it in. But just to recap, Blount County, midnight, central section. Oh, look at that. They just pulled it. You see what's funny? Midnight just struck me on the clock. Because if you look right under the word ultimate, it says Sunday midnight. So the midnight's done. One severe thunderstorm warning's done. Now we have the one that includes downtown Knoxville and goes toward Jefferson City. So if you're just joining me, clearly, far and away, it's this thing right here. It's this leading edge. The rain that's coming down in Fountain City is buckets, but I would suspect it's not as damaging with the winds as what you've already experienced, or what downtown Knoxville's already experienced. You're getting some heavy rain, but it's this right here that I think is the main attraction. This is why Kodak, Dumplin, Flat Gap, Jefferson City, Beacon Hills, and Rutledge should take notice. Now, I know there's been some questions about Rogersville. You've got some downpours up here. You've got some storms, but may not be reaching the level of severity like this one. Because you notice this one's purple and probably producing some hail. We'll go back and look at that. I think we did that from this moment ago. Yep, there it is. There's some hail associated with this line. So 1.5 inches maybe. And again, this could be overestimated. It's just the Doppler's view. Go, well, maybe it could be 1/2 inch, but maybe it's 1 inch. But it's some hail. And it's associated with the same line that I was just drawing right in here. And it's headed toward Jefferson City. So these are the areas that we're watching for the severity at this point. Am I concerned about tornadoes at this point? Probably not. But that's just me. But that's also when I showed you the BTI score. This one's 2.8. It's still under 3. I got a 2.8 BTI out of school. Think of this as a scale of 0 to 10. 7 to 8 or 9, you get in your basement. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, you just watch it. Keep an eye on it. And what's nice is it will automatically come to your phone if you have the Captain Accurate Weather app. Just like you get lightning alerts, they pop up on your screen. You'll get a BTI score if it applies. Because I've had people say, I've been looking all over for it. If it doesn't apply to you, like it's not headed toward you, it won't come on your screen. But if it does apply, it will show up on your screen, and you'll hopefully know how to behave. Like if I saw a BTI of 7, 8, or 9, I'm getting in the basement. I'm not grabbing my phone to go outside and take pictures. Some people do that, but I know better because I know that Barron has a 98% skill score. Their skill score, if they issue a 7, 8, or 9, there's a 98% chance that their tornado forms. And they don't issue a 7, 8, or 9 very often. But when they do, they mean business. You got to understand, Barron is I would say world-renowned radar company based out of Huntsville. But Bob Barron went to the University of Tennessee, so you should take pride that you got a UT grad who put a lot of these algorithms and put his company together to help keep everybody safe. So that's why I put my name on this app. By the way, Jefferson City till 12:30, the only game in town right now, as well as Knoxville, as well as possibly Sevier County, northern Sevier County, including Kodak, until 12:30. Got another note from Samantha Arwood. She says it's raining so hard here. Well, how hard is it coming? Is it buckets? You know what we should do? We should take a look at the rainfall amounts. We could do that. Let's take off the alerts for a second. Let's just for giggles, because we need the rain. That would make me giggle if I know it had been 4 inches below normal for the year. Look at the amounts of rain. I mean, it's just coming down at like 2 inches in yellow near Loudon. Knoxville, at least North Knox County, about 1.25 inches. Jamestown, about 1.5 inches. Wartburg, about 1 inch. Morristown, this could have been most of what's fallen on the east side was from this morning. 1/2 inch around Gatlinburg, maybe a little more than 1/2 inch, 3/4 around Maryville. But these are drops that we need. We just don't need all the hullabaloo and the drama associated with lightning and winds. We don't need that. I grant you that. I mentioned we have a severe thunderstorm warning till 12:30. It's now 12:04. There is still a tornado watch, but that just means we're watching it. And it goes till 3 a.m., but it wouldn't surprise me if it expired at 2, like our friends in Cumberland and Fentress County. But we also have wind advisories till 9 tomorrow morning, because you're going to have some stronger winds in the Smokies just associated with this storm system, because the winds in the Smokies. Let me see if I can pull that back up. Yep, my phone is my phone. I'm having to constantly refresh my phone because I had so many apps running on it. But at the same time, just know that the wind advisory will be lasting until after sunrise tomorrow if you're in Cocke County, Sevier County, or southern Blount County. But in terms of this storm, let's talk about the track. I'll give you some fresh towns here. Blaine at 12:09, that's 4 minutes for you. Blaine, attention Blaine, strong storms headed to your severe thunderstorm potentially in Blaine at 12:09. Should be around Mitchell Ford at 12:11. Nance's Grove at 12:13. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. These aren't all towns. Some of these are like subdivisions. Exactly. Isn't that nice? That's the beauty of hyper-local. I can tell you it should be around, say, Mill Spring at 12:18 or Buffalo Springs 12:18. So some of these towns or subdivisions or communities are going to be affected here in the next couple of minutes. And it's important that you take the necessary precautions. Get away from windows. Maybe give your dog a hug. make sure your cat's okay. And if you've got some time in Maryville, plug in your phone so it's charged in case you lose some power. But this one would suggest it's moving at 60 miles an hour. The tornado aspect, the BTI, is 2.4, pretty low. If it's under 5, it's less of a concern. If it's higher than 5, then I think there's greater reason that you might have a spin up. But that's just me. We'll see how it plays out. Hail size, about 1 inch. But these are some of the towns that are being affected. I see Steven Snyder. He's sending me some stars. You're very sweet, Steven. I appreciate you very much. He's also one of my premium members on Facebook. I appreciate that very much. Kayla says, hail is at my doorstep in Halls. Ooh, let's see. Now, you, Kayla, whether you know it or not, you have just become, in this instance, you have become our instant weather spotter for hail. And since we have the possibility of seeing hail, turning off this, and you're in Halls, look at that. They're probably getting some hail in Mascot right now, right? Possibly getting some hail in Mascot. So maybe even into places like, even if I go back the last hour. Let's see where, you know what, we could do that. Let's go back an hour ago and see if the hail came in like so. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Look at that. There's the progression of the hail in purple sliding across Fountain City, moving through Mascot, and back up toward Corrigan right now. So that's where the main line is. And it's interesting that Blaine is next in line. So if you're on 11W, you may get some hail like we heard from, like we heard just now. Oops, I would push that clicker over here. I'm on the wrong tab. But we heard Kayla talking about hail at her doorstep in Halls. So just be extra careful. Some of this, again, is about the size of 1 inch. 1 inch around Mascot, maybe a ½ inch in the lighter purple south of Mascot. So just be mindful that there is hail associated with this storm. Going back to the radar and the lightning, because that's a bigger show here. We got 706 lightning strikes here, but you notice if I zoom way out, now you're like, now you're just getting, now you're just showing off. No. It's to indicate some of this energy in Louisiana, it's going to be riding up into town by tomorrow morning. So we've got this, it's going to slow down, but every hour that passes by, you're going to see a whole new line form behind Cleveland and behind, say, Tullahoma and Winchester. It's all going to work its way back into the area. So we're going to get some beneficial rain out of it, but the more rain that keeps falling, the less chance that this will be severe. I would suspect that we're going to see an end to severe weather by 12:30, and it is now 12:08. Which means I just have to keep talking for another couple of minutes. I say that smiling, because I don't want severe weather for you, and I don't want severe weather for me, and I'm in West Knox County. So the worst has already passed me, but it's about to move into Newmarket and Jefferson City. So if you're a Carson Newman student, how many teachers or students of Carson Newman are paying attention right now? There's a nasty line of storms that is severe heading your way. Now we want to talk about some winds. Let's do that. Let's talk about the winds. We'll turn off the lightning because that muddies up the map. But if you were curious how strong these winds are, about 48 miles an hour there, about 41 here, 38. I don't see a 50, but I see 38, 48. That's enough to do some damage to some trees, some power. Tammy Bobbitt, you're the sweetest. Thank you for those stars. She sent me some stars. Very kind. Chrissy says, no rain in Madisonville, but hearing thunder. Now, if you're in Madisonville and you're in Monroe County, Chrissy, you know that whenever there's a tornado watch, people, the hairs on the back of their neck get really nervous. There's a big difference between a watch and a warning. A watch just means the conditions are favorable. It could happen, but you just want to have a plan in place in case it does. So if the next step is a tornado warning for Monroe County, which I'm not saying there is, but if there were, would you have a plan? Would you know where to go in your home, a safe spot, someplace away from windows? That's something that would be ideal. It's always good to have a plan because while it may not affect your town tonight, it could always affect your town on another day in the future. Stephanie McDaniel Wise says, I'm glad no hail in Dandridge so far, but that may change here. We had some in Mascot, Stephanie, so you need to be on the lookout. Dandridge is right on the cusp of this on the cusp of the severe thunderstorm warning. I was talking about Monroe County, so that's what threw me off here. But just to recap, the only tornado watch that we have right now in effect is down here in Monroe County. So that's, and also I believe Ray County, McMinn and Monroe County, both under tornado watches. So those are the things we're watching.
So it's one thing to have a watch where things are, it's like having a preheated oven. But where things are actually happening at the moment, it's what's about to move into Jefferson City. So let me give a shout out to Rutledge. You're about to get the worst of the rain and storms. It'll head toward Bean Station thereafter and Morristown after that. Because I'm looking at, here's Jefferson City and here's Morristown. And the nasty storms are right in here. So they're working their way to the east at roughly 40 or 50 miles per hour. That seems to be what I'm showing. The Weather Service says it's moving to the east at 50 miles per hour. So let's do a new track. Since this thing has moved far enough along, this track would take it to, take it towards, say, Massengill Mill at 1220, Joppa at 1220, Buffalo Springs at 1221, and Sunset at 1222. Like I said, this is what one might call hyper-local. Some of this is communities, some of this are towns, some of these are subdivisions, and some of this is where old Farmer Brown's farm used to be. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that I know where that is. So if that helps you, it's headed in your direction. It should be around New Corinth, around 1217, and that's about, say, 5 minutes from now. So these storms are headed in the direction of Rutledge. I just want you to give you a heads up. And while the BTI score here, as I look at this now, 2.5. It hasn't got much higher than 2.8. So that's encouraging for the lack of tornadoes, but it is potentially going to do some damage to some trees and power, because this has winds potentially up as strong as a 60-mile-an-hour gust. So that's certainly in the offering. Let me go back and take a look. As we look, any questions? I see Hannah Wright, Kodak, Dandridge Line, all kind of alerts coming out. Yeah, I would imagine so. Kodak technically, to be fair, put this over here, Kodak is technically not in, at least part of Kodak. North Kodak certainly is, but Kodak is right outside the box. But if you're in Kodak, it's a wise move to just be prepared for some strong winds and some thunderstorms. That's a given. And there's the thunder there, about 378 strikes. Looking at the Weather Service's wording here, let me see if they come back with an update. But I see Kim McDonald Perry, the lightning in Corrigan got my attention. We had a strike in our yard, and hail too was pea-sized. Thank you, Kim, for that update. That's a great Weather Watcher spotter report from Kim Perry in Corrigan. We saw some of those hail markers there in Corrigan and Mascot, and I'm sure it's not easy to deal with at this time of night, because you're kind of wanting to settle down on a Saturday night, not having to worry about storms. But that's kind of what we're dealing with at the moment. Let's see here. Let's go back, take a look at the lightning takeoff, because that muddies up the map. I want to do a whole new track, because I want to get some of the more information, newer information that might be coming here. So if we draw our line right in here, right where things are bowing, move it out about 50 miles per hour, because that was the latest update from the Weather Service. That puts it in this direction of Morristown. This would put it into Newmarket right now. So Newmarket's getting hammered with some heavy rain. It would also follow up at 1214 with Rocky Valley. Piedmont at 1217. Jefferson City at 1217. So Jefferson City, you got 3 minutes, based on my clock, about 3 minutes before you feel the brunt of this storm. Patterson Hills, 1219. Point 7, 1219. And Rocktown, 1219. So some ideas there. Michael Norman, thank you for staying up late to bring us the weather updates. My pleasure. Again, I'm not on camera for those of you who are joining me late. I was at downtown Knoxville Auditorium tonight to see my daughter do a dance recital. So I'm not in a necktie. You wouldn't recognize me without a necktie, I'm sure. But I was enjoying the holiday, and came home and I saw the lightning. I said, you know what? Let's get on this. Ronnie says just lightning and a little rain south of Kingston. Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie's one of my subscribers on Premium, Captain Accurate Premium, which you can sign up at CaptainAccurate.com. Joanne McGraw, North Knox, pretty noisy with thunder and rain. And Laura Smith says her nerves are bad here in White Pine. Tell me I'll be okay. Laura, you're going to be okay. We've been through worse. I went through this, because I'm in West Knox County. I went through this very line just before I came on, before I came on with this Facebook and YouTube Live, because I'm doing YouTube too. If you're on YouTube, you could put me on the big screen pretty easy with your Fire Stick or whatever. But YouTube, Facebook, I felt when this storm came through, it was a little noisy. I'm not kidding you. My dog was under the desk, That's what she does. And, it could scare the cat. It could do a number of things. But we'll get through it. We've been through worse. We're East Tennesseans. We're a tough crowd. There's no doubt about that. Kristen says thunder and lightning in Snake Hollow at Howard's Quarter. Thank you for that, Kristen. That's a very specific update, and I appreciate that very much. Anything on Etowah weather, says or asks Rebecca Standridge. Well, I can tell you the storm that we're watching is about the one that's about to close in on Jefferson City. But the one you're talking about in Etowah, down here, you've got a little bit of nasty weather, and certainly now extending into Madisonville. I'm looking some heavier rains right now around Von Orr, Madisonville, and Tellico Plains. And the one around Etowah has a couple of thunderstorms in this area, no doubt. But these are not severe. And you say, well, how do you know that? Well, because there's a whole host of meteorologists at the Weather Service in Morrison, and they don't deem it severe because there's no severe thunderstorm warning there. They can see what I see. It's a loud noisemaker, but thankfully it's not reaching to their level or their criteria. Think about it this way. A severe thunderstorm will typically have winds 58 miles per hour or stronger. And that's not what's occurring. Madison, you might have a 40-mile-an-hour gust or 45, and it might be severe to you because the dog or cat's under the bed, but it's not reached the level of the criteria the Weather Service bases a severe thunderstorm on. And of course, if it's 1-inch hail or a possible tornado, they could issue a severe thunderstorm warning for that. But there's clearly a lot of rain coming and maybe some nasty winds now into Jefferson City right now. I'm going to take a look at the hail. Yep, we got that too. So we got hail about the size of an inch headed to Jeff City and possibly Rutledge, half-inch hail there, and maybe to the south headed toward Flat Gap. So you got hail coming your way. And if we look at what were we having fun with? We were looking at the velocity. Let's take a look at the velocity. Yeah, we got 30, 26-mile-an-hour winds, maybe a little bit stronger in some of these areas. If I do another query, let's do a quick check on that again. Some bright areas here. There's 38 miles an hour headed toward Jefferson City and Flat Gap. So there's some strong winds, 26 here. These are all estimated, mind you, but they can still maybe shake the trees and scare the pets. There's no doubt about that. Let's go back to, let me see. You know what would be good to see if we have any new power outages. We saw quite a few in the Nashville area. We already saw that, but I want to go back and take a look real quick at the power outages while Jefferson City braces for some nasty storms. Let's go back to the power outages right here. Oh, see, we didn't have any in Knox County, but we do now. Ooh, you predicted that, didn't you? Yeah, well, we got some. It may not be much. It's much worse in yellow. Yellow would be Davidson County, including Nashville. And you can see, if I do a little query here, just to give a perspective, 12,000 people are without power in the Nashville area. Clarksville's got about 14,000, and Portland, Tennessee, about 22,000. So everything being relative, Knoxville's got 200. That's not much. No, it's not. But if you're the one that doesn't have the power, you're like, that's no fun. On a Saturday night, if you lose power in Knox County, you're like, that's disruptive. I can't watch my shows, or can't do whatever you want to do. But that's where we are in terms of the power outages, and that could grow. I'm not to say that this is the end game, because more power outages could occur as the system continues to move in. Let's go back to the current warning here. I got 11 minutes to go. I know you're applauding me. I know you can get me through the next 11 minutes, and I can get you through it. I can tell you that we're going to make it okay. We're going to get through this, because everything behind it is just rain, let's say, and we need every drop. Every drop of rain would be beneficial. So if this is, I look at it this way. The fact that we only got to, let me double check. I'm pretty certain it was 57 today. And I was expecting low to mid 60s today. But because we didn't get as warm as I anticipated, they were much warmer. They were in the upper 60s to near 70 around Middle Tennessee. Yeah, we had 57 today. Had we been much warmer and warm air rises, it would have created a little bit more buoyancy, and we might have had a bigger rash of these storms. But I just didn't see much coming of it. The fact that we had one for Knoxville, now we have one for Jefferson City. If this is all we get, and at 12:30 and 10 minutes from now, then it'd be great. Let it play its hand. It looks like it's going to pass by Kodak for the moment. There could be more that's moving into Knoxville that Kodak may benefit from. But there's still some heavy rain in Knoxville. This is not severe. Downtown Knoxville, getting rain, not severe. The severity is right in here, And the concern is it's now moving through Jefferson City, and it's headed in the direction of Morristown. And that, of course, will get the attention of the National Weather Service in Morristown. They'll feel the brunt of this as it comes in, and they can make the call if they want to extend this box or let this one elapse or expire in 9 minutes, because we're about 9 minutes away, 12:20, 12:21 or so on the clock right now. We have some downpours coming down into Sunbright, Wartburg. This is not severe but beneficial rain. Dustin says, we are watching you in Kodak at the fire station, getting a little rowdy here in Kodak. Dustin, great to have you here. I remember doing my Kodak spotlight a couple months ago, and I know exactly where that fire station is. Glad to have you on here. Judy Kerr, one of my premium members, says, raining now in Rutledge. Judy, you're in the crosshairs. It's coming down hard for you in Rutledge, and you're technically still under this severe thunderstorm warning until, he says, until 12:30. So we have 9 more minutes. Bear with us. That means White Pine, Bainbury, and Morristown, you're in the on-deck circle. I like to say this because if you're thinking, I'm not under a severe thunderstorm warning, no, you're not. But if, it's a big if the Weather Service decides to expand this box, then you will be. So how do you figure? Well, let's take the box. Let's play the role of the Weather Service. Let's do this. Let's move this over here. If we were going to play the role of the Weather Service, what would that look like? We would just draw a box and go do-do-do and include Mohawk, and it would look like that. So these towns would be on the on-deck circle. That would be Bulls Gap, Mohawk, Morristown, Bean Station. But that's a gamble because this here looks like it's showing signs of weakening. Well, how do you know that? Let's rewind the tape. Let's go back an hour. Let's see if this thing looks better or worse. Does it look like way worse an hour ago? Look at how it moved through Knoxville, Corrigan, and now it's like it's half the size and maybe half the strength as it moves from Jefferson City to Morristown. So my suspicion is this thing will expire at 12:30, and they'll just continue on with the flood advisories, because that will probably be the concern overnight once we get more and more rain coming into the region. But this box, again, lasts until 12:30. We've had some rain in Rogersville. We've had some rain in Sneedville, the hometown of Morgan Wallen, CMA, and, of course, celebrated country music star. Tazewell getting some moderate rain right now. Maynardville getting some rain in Union County. Union County getting some good rain in La Follette, Kerrville. Not severe for you, but you're getting some rain. And you notice the green boxes keep growing. We now have one for Knox County. That's the aerial flood advisory. We got aerial flood advisories include Farragut, Oak Ridge till 2 in the morning. Got one until 2:15 for Roane County where Ronnie is. Ronnie is there. So he's got a flood advisory, which means that's kind of like the precursor before the flash flood warning is issued. If we keep getting crazy rain, then that might be a concern. There's no doubt about that. I know why I see why I was sitting here trying to figure out why my phone wasn't working. I just realized what I had I had it toggled on to a different Wi-Fi, which was not helping me one bit. Anyway, the wind advisories that are for the Smokies, I've talked about that briefly. That runs until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's 20 to 30 sustained out of the south, gusting 45 to 50. So keep note, there will be some wind damage potentially there, some downed trees. As far as the flood advisory, let's talk about the one that's affecting parts of West Knox County. This is a portion of East Tennessee. Minor flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas are to be most watched. So if you're in Farragut, Oak Ridge, you're not, I repeat, not under a flash flood warning, you're under a flood advisory for the mere fact that flooding may be minor flooding in low-lying areas may be persistent. So they believe 1.5 to 2 inches have already fallen in these areas. So think about that. We've already done a little check. We can do another one. But if you've had a 1.5 to 2 inches here, you've got a very soggy ground and you get some gusty winds. Some of those trees could come down and take out power. So there's a whole host of things that could go wrong overnight with each falling drop. But like I said, we didn't get into the drought situation overnight. We're probably not going to get out of it overnight. But the rain that we anticipate will roughly be about 1.5 to 2.5 inches during the course of tonight, tomorrow. Lastly here, 5 minutes away, get ready Morristown. We've talked about some of the other towns that are getting affected, like Claiborne County, near Tazewell, near Harrogate. Love Harrogate. I was just up there last Monday for my spotlight. they're getting some rain. Middlesboro, Bell County getting some much needed rain. Gibson Hall, Ritchie, also some downpours in red down to Avondale. And now it's pounding into Talbot. Talbot's getting hammered with some pretty steady rain. Please be extra careful if you're in this area because it's working its way toward Alpha at the moment. These are some areas we want to watch with very closely as we head through the next few minutes. By the way, this severe thunderstorm warning had winds of moving roughly at 50 miles per hour. And you'll notice it's the only box in town. As I continue to look at some of your notes here, Lee Graff says winds are picking up here in Talbot. Thank you for that update, Lee, because I'm right into the Talbot area. Let's put Talbot on, zoom in a little bit tighter. You can see, there's Talbot. So if I take the track, still moving roughly at, say, 40, we'll say 45. It may have slowed down a bit, and I have to zoom back out to get that far out. We'll say 48's good enough. I think that will get the job done. This should be around Hunter's Ridge now. It should be around Westgate right now. But Talbot, obviously, right now, Alpha, about 12:28. That's 2 minutes from now for Alpha. And Panther Lake, 12:28. Willow Springs, about 12:28. Wood Acres, about 12:28. So these are some of the towns that could be affected by the downpours that Lee was just talking about. Danny says it was hammering down here in Strawberry Plains a few minutes ago, and it sounded like hail, but I'm not sure. I suspect it was hail, too, Danny. There was probably that, too. Debbie Lawn, Shrewsbury, she said, we had some small hail in Halls. Thank you, Debbie, for that. I appreciate that very much. I love getting the updates from all those watching. And I'm very appreciative of my Captain Accurate Premium members, which she is one of. Jane Shields Anderson says it's storming pretty good in Vonore with lots of rain. Yeah, let's go back to there. Even though we have this one warning, we got 3 more minutes. And again, if they issue a new one, we know that Morristown and White Pine, Bainbury will probably be included. Because right now it stops at the doorstep of Alpha. And you might be wondering, why is there this circle here? That's because the radar is there. The cone of silence. It never rains inside the cone. Well, it does. It's just we don't see it. Right? Because the radar's there. It looks like a big golf ball in the sky. I'm sure you've seen it. If you've ever driven by on 11E, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the Weather Service has their radar there, so there is naturally a little cone that we can't see all that's there under the dome. Now, as far as downstream, we'll go toward Riverdale. We've got some downpours. It's raining light to moderately. We'll say moderately in Knoxville proper. We got some downpours around Beechwood. Friendsville's getting some heavy rain. And now it's moving into Maryville. So Maryville, hello to you. Alcoa and McGee-Tyson now getting in on the rain here at 12:28. So we have some heavier rains in these areas, and as well as the lightning. Maybe even the lightning has dropped off. Let's do an experiment. Let's take a look. You tell me. I'm going to keep the screen consistent. And if you look at this, it says 1188, right, for total lightning strikes. If we rewind the tape an hour, are the lightning strikes going up or down? If it's 1148, maybe it stays the same. Maybe it's fairly consistent. Yeah, it's been 1100, so it hadn't changed much. So the lightning is still part of the show as it rolls from Talbot to Alpha and eventually in the Morristown area. So we've got the lightning. It's a good experiment. Sometimes you'll see it drop off, like it'll cut in half, and that would be one indication that storms are weakening. But we have just as much lightning an hour ago as we do now. So that says we still got a lot of energy still working through town. And if we go back, somebody was asking about Vonore, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was the question. So, oh, yeah, Jane Shields Anderson wanted to know about the storming in Vonore. Down in Vonore, it would appear that we have quite a bit still, some downpours around Greenback, around Loudon, Farragut, Lenoir City, and also into, Sugar Limb, moving further south. Philadelphia is getting some rain. Loudon's getting some moderate rain. We've got some downpours in the Wartburg area. We haven't talked much about Morgan County or even Cumberland County as of late, but they're getting some rain. The good news is that there are no more tornado watches for Cumberland or Fentress County. In fact, the rain looks like it's slowing down in Fentress County at this time. So there's some good news there. But as far as the heavier rains from Friendsville to Lenoir City to Loudon to Vonore, also getting some rain at this point. And Farragut sliding back toward Arrowhead and Knoxville proper. I'm looking at the clock because I'm sliding. I see it's 12:30. And one thing that we were talking about was this cone of silence around Talbot and Alpha. Well, at 12:30, this severe thunderstorm warning was supposed to expire. It was expected to expire at 12:30, and that's what it's done. Now, in the next 60 seconds, if the Weather Service, in their infinite wisdom, and they have a lot of eyeballs looking at this, they may decide to make a new one. But right now, it looks like they've expired this one, and there's nothing else on the map. So if I go back to the home view, you'll notice that we have rain, we have thunder, and we have some flood advisories, but we do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings. The flood advisory for Knox County runs until 2:30 for minor flooding. The flood advisory for Anderson County runs until 2 o'clock in the morning for minor flooding. And the flood advisory for Roane County runs till 2:15 in the morning for minor flooding. I would say it's one of those, let's keep an eye on it. Now, granted, how can I keep an eye on it, Aldridge, if I'm going to bed? I get that. Because hopefully if you have your phone charged, and if you are sensitive to a notification, that if my Captain Accurate weather app were to chime, then you would wake up, seek higher ground immediately if you're under a flash flood warning. Because right now, the flash flood warning that we have in Tennessee is in Marion, Tennessee. So what's here could be here over time in Ray County. What's here in Marion could work its way toward Loudoun County later tonight, tomorrow, and vice versa, up toward Knox County. So I don't want to dismiss to say, well, it's just a flood advisory. It may be just a flood advisory now, but it could get worse overnight into tomorrow morning. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Brooke Short says, what does it look like Claiborne County as far as severe weather? No problems there, Brooke. Sleep easy. It looks like we're okay. Maryville and Alcoa, Steve Crabtree wants to know. It's coming down in buckets, but not severe. It's a great question. Rain may be picking up. In fact, if we were to do just a quick check of the winds, right? The winds in the Maryville area right now are showing maybe close to 30, 23, 22, Louisville 23. So they don't reach the criteria for severe. Is it gusty? Sure. Is it breezy? Absolutely. 27-mile-an-hour winds. But for the Weather Service to pull the trigger for a severe thunderstorm warning, you would have to have winds of over 58, typically. 58, 60 is how it's usually worded, or 1-inch hail. And we're not getting 1-inch hail in Maryville, and we're not getting winds of that magnitude. But we are getting quite a bit of rain in Maryville. So we go back to the radar, and you can say, yeah, there's quite a bit of rain coming down in Maryville, Alcoa, and at McGee-Tyson. It's coming down pretty strong in Chota here, maybe back toward Wellsville, Brick Mill, and Springview. So some heavy rains are occurring at this part. Blount County, right through Maryville, heavy rains coming down in buckets. And if we were to look at the hail markers, probably not going to see much in the way of hail, but we'll look. It never hurts to look. There's maybe a hint of hail. Look at that, in the purple areas. So that's not to say it can't happen in Maryville. Maybe a half-inch southeast of Maryville, near Chelsea Village. That's where it's suggested here on the radar. And maybe also some more hail potentially back here toward Lanier and Chota. So there's some spots that might be getting some hail at this time. But again, half-inch hail is not 1-inch hail. And 1-inch hail is the threshold that the Weather Service uses to help guide them in determining whether to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. But anyway, getting back to the radar, great question, because that came in from Steve, as well as someone was asking about Von Norris. Sabrina asks, is it moving towards Kodak? Good question. It is about to reach Kodak, but not severe. You're getting some downpours in red and yellow. As I mentioned with Maryville, you're probably getting 20, 30, 35 maybe mile-an-hour gusts around Boyd's Creek, and maybe some hail that's trying to form in the Kodak area. May not show up much. Let me go back to the hail possibility. Nope, not a whole lot there. Certainly there's still potential for hail around the Talbot area and Alpha. That I still see pretty clearly, 1-inch hail. And I'm kind of curious if I were to check on the local storm reports. Let's take a look and see if there are any at this point. There may not be any at this point. They may still be coming in. But I know there were quite a few. Look at the tornado warnings. The tornado reports, in Middle Tennessee. This is a nightmare, right? They had a tornado right in Davidson County around 4:51 Central Time. You think we had it bad? We had it easy. We've had one storm report here in Mascot that had occurred at 12:13, saying that a tree down blocking a lane of traffic near Mine Road and Old Rutledge Pike. How many of you know Old Rutledge Pike like the back of your hand? Well, near Mine Road, a tree's down and it's blocking some of the traffic. That's the only damage report that we've had thus far. That doesn't mean it's the only one that we're going to get, but it's the only one that's been posted from the Weather Service locally in this bout. But as I take a look, and my heart is breaking looking at all those red markers in Middle Tennessee, north of Nashville, because it would appear they've had 19 reports of tornadoes. 19 reports of tornadoes in the Nashville area. And oftentimes people will say, was that coming here? No. But it's hard to convince someone of it. Is that coming? We haven't even had a tornado warning. But they had quite the show today in the Nashville area. This was in near White Bluff, Dixon County, about 4:03 Central. Tornado with debris signature began near this area and tracked near Cheatham County into western Davidson County. They also moved up into Kentucky. They had Todd County, Kentucky had a tornado, a couple of them actually. But 19 tornadoes occurred. So in the world of, well, they had it much worse, they did. They had it much worse than we did. We're getting rain, and that's it. And that's all we have right now. So my advice to you at 12:30 on a Sunday morning is sleep easy. Keep your phone charged in case there's some flooding issues down the road, because I think that's the only concern that we should have going forward, because the Weather Service does not, I repeat, does not have any severe thunderstorm warnings anymore. They did not continue or perpetuate anything out here. I mean, if there was going to be a new one, it would have been out here and working its way toward Greenville and Newport, but that's not the case. Greenville and Newport will get some rain, but it won't be necessarily severe, much anything like, sadly, what they experience out west in Middle Tennessee. And there is still, technically, a tornado watch till 3 a.m., but the Weather Service may decide to pull the plug early like they did for Cumberland and Fentress County. So that's, if I were living in, and I don't, I live in West Knox County, but if I were living in Monroe County, I'd make sure my phone's charged, just be on the lookout. But right now, there does not appear to be anything of that magnitude that's in striking distance. The only storm that has some characteristics of strength here is this one in Morristown now, and it looks like it's headed toward Lake Moore at 1240, Morristown now at 1240, and Hillcrest, Corbin Estates at 1242, Pineville about 1242. So these are some of the towns, and it'll be headed toward Rogersville, whatever's left of it, and it's rolling through Bean Station right now. Sneedville is just going to get some run-of-the-mill showers, and even what's moving through Morristown might be considered run-of-the-mill because it's not severe, but it might be considered strong. It's maybe a moderate to strong storm now rolling through Morristown proper. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully this has been of help to you. It is now, oh, thank you very much. Debbie's sending me some stars. Appreciate you. Tracy Cooley says heavy rain in Englewood. And Danny Wolfenbarger says, yes, thank you, David, for everything you do for us. My pleasure. Trudy Davis saying thank you. She's one of my premium members. I can't underscore how blessed I am to have a group of people who've supported me in that way, because they've been there. And many of you who aren't on premium have been there with me in spirit. But one of the things we like to do is we like to look at the weather that's beyond 7 days every day. So we're at Christmas Eve forecast, we're at Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and beyond. We're at like Elvis's birthday, I think, the last we did. So we look at the maps going down the road, and if that's of interest to you, we'd love to have you join us. We have school teachers, truck drivers, seniors, students, retirees, you name it. People have all different needs for weather. Check us out. Go to CaptainAccurate.com. It's only $4.99 a month. That's one cup of coffee at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts that you can get that kind of weather information. If it's 16 cents a day, you can have it. Just join, and you can cancel anytime. But a lot of folks who've tried it I've had some people be with me now for more than a year, and we must be doing something right because they're still with me, and I appreciate them very much. I appreciate you. And I want to give a shout out to Tidal Wave Auto Spa, my sponsor for the Ultimate Doppler Radio, because you know what? Once this rain gets out of here and your car feels kind of a little grimy, well, you could get a Tidal Wave Auto Spa. It's like getting 2 car washes for the price of one, and they're popping up everywhere. Alcoa, they're in Newport, they're in Jefferson City, they're in Greenville, they're soon to be in Clinton, Greenville, Johnson City, all over. So, and soon to be Knox County, from what I understand. But all these cool tidal wave auto spas, check them out. Tell them Captain Accurate sent you. They've been a great sponsor and support as well. But I'm going to sign off. I want to say thank you. Angel White says it's been over yet. It's about over yet in 10 Mile. Thank you for that. Danny's saying I'll be signing up. Also, it would make great Christmas gifts. Absolutely. Thank you, Danny. Like I said, just a month's trial. Because you know what? You might like it most during winter, as a lot of folks do. Because a lot of the school teachers, I'm told, they want to know if there's a potential snow day. They want to plan accordingly. And I think they appreciate the uncertainty of weather when things are far out, because again, when you're talking weeks in advance, it doesn't have the skill score like it would be if it's tomorrow's forecast. But some people just like to be in the know, and that's what I'm trying to provide my premium members. Hannah Wright says, thank you, David. Please pray for my husband. He was at work at Clarksville today. When the tornado hit, he's safe, but it's so devastating. And absolutely, prayers for everyone in Middle Tennessee and also in central Kentucky there, South Central, because it's traumatic, and trying to put your, it kind of rattles you. If you felt rattled tonight, imagine how more rattled they were when 19 tornadoes hit parts of Middle Tennessee earlier today. Very scary. Tracy Cooley, thank you, David, and Karen Smith saying thank you. Thank you all very, very much. I hope you all have a good night. It is now 12:42. If you're just joining me, you can watch this on delay, but the good news is the rain is still coming, but the severe weather looks like it's beginning to wind down. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good night and sleep tight.